This video will completely spoil the story of SOMA, and I highly suggest you play the game before I go any further. The time and events of this video jump backwards and forwards, but I'll try and help it make sense.
Are you okay, Simon? I think you're bleeding.
Oh, that's nothing. It's just my brain can't stop bleeding from the accident.
Here, take this.
No, that's for later, for the scan.
In the year 2015, in Toronto, Canada, a bookshop worker named Simon Jarrett is caught in a car crash. His friend Ashley is killed, and Simon is left with permanent brain damage.
Why now?
Who's David Munchie?
Why is there never enough time?
For what?
He opts into an experimental brain scan with a man named David Munchie, and upon arriving, he sat down in a chair and nervously goes ahead with the procedure. But as it goes on, he realizes something is wrong, and as he gets up from the seat, he realizes he's not in Toronto anymore.
Hello? Mr. Munchie? Did something go wrong? This isn't funny.
He's in the far future, the year 2104. Simon is understandably confused and lost. It's dark, metallic, and no one is around to explain what happened. How did he get here? But what he doesn't realize is he's no longer a biological being. By our definition today, he's dead. But this is not apparent to him, and the world of SOMA doesn't present his lack of a biological thinking machine as the end of his existence. He's not the real Simon Jarrett, but as far as he knows, he is. All his memories carry over, his personality, his thoughts and loves and desires. They're all still there, but he's a copy. The original Simon died sometime after his brain scan in 2015, and that scan was implanted into a robot that then awakened in the future. You play as this Simon, and technically you play as both, one after the other. The real question is there a more genuine Simon? Is his new existence invalid because of the lack of his original body? Is his personality and everything that makes him who he is tied to his previous existence, or is this a new phase of his life? He can't die of old age or succumb to a deteriorating mind. Is he better now? Is he still human? As a robot, does he have a soul, or was he robbed of that? In the story, this is called into question many times by many characters. The question of what is good enough to represent humanity comes up with every new development as Simon realizes more about himself along his journey.
What's happening? Hello, is there anyone there?
Hey, can you hear me?
I hear you. Absalom, what's going on?
I have no idea. I just sort of woke up here.
In the room right now?
It was like a seat with a helmet.
Is that right? What's your name?
I'm Simon Jarrett.
And what do you... damn relays. Where are you now?
Someplace dealing with electrical power. I'm not sure if it's a plant or a transformer.
Yeah, you're probably in the thermal plant somewhere. You want to go upstairs to the comm center. It's the room with the dome ceiling.
Hey, look, this place is not... There's something seriously wrong here.
Upon reaching a certain point in the Upsilon power plant, he meets the only speaking person he sees, Catherine, who tells him to come to Lambda, where she is. Not understanding and looking for answers, he leaves.
I guess it's a good thing we never had any kids. Hard enough looking my parents in the eyes. They're going to a bomb shelter upstate, by the way, along with your dad. I'm guessing someone will help him send you a message somehow. I mean, I hope they will. Hell, I'm not even sure you'll get this message. If you do, I want you to know I'll never blame commend you for following your dreams. I was just mad it didn't fit better with what I imagined our lives would be. I really wanted a picket fence, big family, you know? I guess what I'm trying to say is, I'm proud of you. And even though it's been difficult to be separated from you, I regret nothing. I'm happy. And I really wish I was able to say this without the sky falling down.
In 2103, a comet hits Earth, wiping out all life on the surface in a mass extinction event. Fire reaches up into the sky as observed by the vessel the Curie. The only way humanity survives is because of Pathos 2, an underwater research facility where life continued, deep under the ocean waves, far from the effects of where the comet's devastation reached. Pathos 2 is a deep-sea research facility made up of different sites named after the Greek alphabet. Upsilon, the power plant, the Welcome Center and Transport Hub Lambda, Delta, the shipyard, Theta, the research and development hub and general brain of Pathos 2, Omicron, the hydroponic and marine research facility, and Tau, where people who operate Phi live, and then finally Phi itself, which houses the Omega space gun, a several kilometer long cannon that propels satellites and payloads into space with electromagnets. The Pathos 2 staff are made up of scientists and technicians, people of different cultures and beliefs. These people weren't chosen to represent humanity, they just work at Pathos 2, the only place we know that survived the comet. They realize they're now the only people left in existence, and hold meetings to talk about humanity's future. When the comet hits in 2103, Pathos 2 had a station-wide AI system called the Warden Unit, or WOW for short. The WOW doesn't act like any other representation of AI in media. It's not Shodan, it's not Alice, it's described by Catherine as more of a cancer. Its role as caretaker keeps the lights on and the oxygen flowing, but when the comet hits, it's left with a conundrum. One of its duties is to preserve life, but determining what life is hard enough for the humans to do, so how is the AI able to handle it? The WOW begins small, infusing dead fish with structure gel, a futuristic metallic liquid that allows data to travel through it, and the WOW reanimates them, bringing these fish back from the dead. And to begin with, the Pathos 2 staff find it strange and unsettling, doing experiments of their own on lab rats. These teach them that the dead rats can be reanimated, but like the story of Frankenstein, things brought back from the dead just aren't the same. The fish are violent, bludgeoning themselves to death. The reanimated rats attack the normal rats and kill them. There's violent tendencies there, and it keeps going. The WOW's experiments become more daring, scanning random members of the Pathos 2 crew as they use the equipment, leaving them with headaches, but also implanting their brain scans into random robots, bringing to life where it shouldn't be.
Who is that? Mark?
No. We haven't met before.
Is this Mark?
I think we're safe.
Oh, I was so worried something had gone wrong.
What's your name?
Robin Bass, Theta Field Service Technician.
Nice to meet you, Robin. How did you get here?
I got scanned, like the others.
These robots you find during the game are confused, somewhat help and don't understand what's happening to them. They're unable to grasp the situation, and it's very similar to what Simon experiences during the early hours of the game. After the comet, an evacuation of the smaller sites is called, and as Carl Semkin and Amy Azzaro try to fix up the power station at Upsilon to run autonomously, Carl is attacked by a robotic helper that's been corrupted by the WOW, killing him. His body is left in the corridors of Upsilon, and his robot clone is stuck on the floor of an assembly line a few rooms over, asking for help. This is the first time someone has died to the WOW's creatures, but it won't be the last. Again, the Pathos 2 crew study the cloned robots, and Catherine discovers that the WOW has made an incredible discovery, copying a real human mind, its personality and everything into a robot. She figures this technology could be used to store people in some kind of virtual world, which brings about the ARC project. She scans herself first and explains to people the idea, to preserve humanity by copying their intelligences, building a virtual world inside the Ark and launching it into space where it can last for thousands of years on solar power. When Simon finally reaches Lambda, he finds no humans, just a sad, broken robot on the floor of the computer room. He finds that Catherine too is a personality inside a machine and is dismayed. She explains that she's the result of the first brain scan and that the real Catherine could very well still be out there. But after activating a tracker, they find that the Ark has not been launched, and after hearing about a possible future on the Ark, Simon agrees to take Catherine with him to get the Ark launched into space. With Catherine as a personality and a door-opening device, she flickers in and out of existence as she's plugged into various devices, so for a large amount of the journey, Simon is alone. The Ark project is officially passed, but the staff themselves are conflicted over the idea. Some see it as a waste of time. Why bother making copies of humanity when the real goal should be to preserve the existing humanity? They should be focusing on survival, right? Others take more of an interest in it. Mark Sarang is a character you never meet in the game, but his beliefs lead to a lot of controversy. Sarang believes in continuity, that a new digital life can await them all, but to transition from their old biological phase to their new digital ones, to outlive themselves, their biological bodies must die to ease that transition. Is it wrong to coexist with yourself? Sarang is the first to find out, chewing down on a cyanide capsule and dying as his brain is scanned into the computer, the first to die in the belief of continuity. And he isn't the last. Many follow in his footsteps, believing that the future is in the Ark, and the only way for their digital life to gain meaning is to kill themselves after the brain scan.
Strasky, come in. I need help in the lab, the scan room.
What happened?
Conrad killed himself after the scan.
Jesus, how?
Maser tool? What should I do?
I'm gonna need to tell Strohmeyer.
No, please! I'm so close. Strohmeyer's gonna shut down the Ark project. It's not my fault people keep killing themselves.
Catherine, what are you gonna do? It's not like you can sneak a 300-pound body out of the lab.
I know.
Catherine, are you okay?
Not even close.
After several members scan themselves and several members kill themselves, the Ark project is brought to a close, with Security Chief Strohmeyer asking people not to kill themselves.
Listen up, all members of staff. The Ark project has caused a lot of arguments the last few months. I'm not going to pretend I understand what the hell Sarang talked about and how his continuity suddenly made sense to kill yourself. For the fucking love of God, or whatever you think is important, don't kill yourself. This place is miserable enough. Don't force your friends to clean up your blood.
And with quite a few people left to go, the scanning phase of the Ark project is over. Whether you believe in it or not, it's still morbid, and luckily this isn't a scenario we can face in this day and age. Even Simon doesn't know what it's really like. His real body died decades before he awakens in 2104, but he does get a glimpse of a future he never had.
The model was sound. It should have worked.
It's not your fault, David.
I really wish things had turned out differently.
Yeah, me too.
I was supposed to save you.
Hey, you got my brain on file. Maybe you can put it to some use.
Yeah, who knows? You'd be okay with that? Using it for my research?
Sure. It's like a part of me lives on or something. Like a donated organ. You know what sucks about dying?
What?
The crash. Everything up till now. The brain damage. You guys, everything. It's made my life so much more real. I started thinking about all the things I was going to do. I'd never been more excited to be alive. All that hope. Wasted.
Most of the game is spent in a philosophical debate over what life really is, And it's not just Simon questioning whether he's alive or not, or Mark Sarang ending one phase of his life to start another. The biggest question that occurs during SOMA is, what is good enough? Are the robots that Simon and Catherine are good enough? Are the reanimated fish good enough? Are the people in the Ark good enough? With the tremendous amount of pressure of a literal apocalypse hanging over their head, the people of Pathos 2 are stressed and on edge. And the WoW is going rogue, doing things no one expected. Johan Ross is an AI psychologist and general overseer of the WoW, and in his time observing it, he becomes disturbed by its methods.
The WoW is reaching out to every machine, every life form, to manipulate, to control. It's trying to help save its creators from all this, just like the protocol demands. But really, what is good enough? Where is the line drawn for what is human and what is not? Would walking corpses do? Would a group of machines thinking they're human be acceptable? We can't trust a machine to know, to understand what it means to be. We have to terminate the WoW project.
After finding a broken emergency vessel outside Lambda, Simon and Catherine are led to the Curie, a ship sunk by the coming apocalypse, and find that WoW has kept the ship on the verge of exploding, as it seems its priorities to maintain life extend to the non-living. Disconnecting the WoW and breaking free in an emergency vessel, the two are caught in the Curie's explosion and thrown into the abandoned Delta shipyards.
Can you steer this thing?
Starboard rudder is choking, but I can compensate.
How do you even know what direction we're going in?
Don't worry, I'm hooked up to the navigator. We're headed for Theta, should be a matter of minutes.
I thought I was done for back there.
Seems like the WoW is keeping the Curie from going into a catastrophic failure state. I mean, how did it get on the ship?
Are you talking about the black tentacles in the engine room? I've seen them before at Upsilon. What are they?
They're a manifestation of a malfunctioning station-wide artificial intelligence called the WoW.
Station-wide? So we just made a powerful enemy.
No, it's not like that. The AI isn't a persona. It doesn't feel or think like we do. It's more like a cancer.
Was that the ship?
Looks like your sabotage worked better than expected. Brace for impact! Hold on, the blast just pushed us off the plateau!
What does that mean?
If I don't hit Delta, we're dead.
As everyone started evacuating the smaller site to move to Theta, one man decided to stay behind in the shipyard of Delta. With no ships delivering any parts, there seems little to no reason to stay behind, but Terry Akers, who was chief of the facility, upon being told to evacuate and slip into the ranks, rejected the offer and stayed behind. After being left alone for months doing nothing other than playing chess against a computer, he sits at his desk and watches as WoW takes over his shipyard, and he shares some admiration in the notes he leaves behind. And after a while, some part of him snaps. Consuming structure gel and writing about it as black blood, he gouges out his eyes and leaves them on the floor in one of the rooms in Delta, turning on the radio and asking to be rescued.
Peter, can you hear me?
I hear you, Terry. I mean, Mr. Akers, sir.
I've changed my mind. I would like to come to Theta. Let Delta sleep.
Of course. Wow. Honestly, didn't expect to hear from you again. Such a long time since you checked in. We have a few divers in a Zeppelin surveying Lambda at the moment. I'll just make sure they pick you up when they're done.
Thank you for the warning. I'll make sure they feel welcome.
Okay. See you when you get here.
Stunned by this, the people he previously rejected open their arms to him and send transport to pick him up, with a crew that were already in the area. Upon arriving, Akers attacks them.
You saw that, right? You saw Akers fucking injecting that shit into them?
He got me pretty bad.
Yeah, I think I made it worse pulling away. I can feel it bleeding out. Can you see him?
Fuck. He got on the Zeppelin. He's going back to Theta. We have to warn them.
Good luck with that. The platform radio is dead, remember?
The Lumar Annex should work. It has to.
Yeah. You go. I'm not gonna make it. I'm just not.
Come on, Evans. We have to warn him. Come on.
He takes the transport back to Theta, and when he arrives, he's assumed dead. A medical report reveals what he's done to himself, and the doctor's office examination bed is covered in blood, structure gel, and weird growths. But unexpectedly, Akers reanimates and begins roaming the halls, attacking and coming after the few survivors of Theta before adding them to the number of people that WoW keeps on life support. After leaving Delta, Simon arrives at Theta to find it abandoned. Catherine, confused, states that it's the best place for humanity's survival, and not finding anyone here is sad and foreboding. Exploring the halls, it becomes obvious that something is wrong. The two try to activate a vehicle called the Dumbat, which should let them swim into the abyss and its crushing pressures to get to the Omega space gun, and soon find that it too has been corrupted by the WoW, screaming wildly before dropping into the water. Now with the goal of trying to walk into the abyss with a power suit, they try to leave Theta for Omicron, their mission to take the climber down into the abyss instead. But Simon finds Akers is still stalking the halls of Theta, and after nearly escaping him, is captured. Simon nearly becomes one of the many unfortunate people fused with the walls, and you get a brief glimpse at what the WoW seems to do to their psyche, with him imagining his life back in 2015, but there's something not right, and Simon snaps out of it to the cold, dark world that he's really in.
Like couples do. You don't want me?
Yes, of course. What happened?
We fell in love.
Outside Omicron, the last survivors from Theta are stranded. Unable to get in or get any response from the people of Omicron, they slowly die one by one, with some succumbing to their injuries with their altercation with Akers. Strasky, the friendly radio dispatcher from Theta, who you hear many times throughout the game, decides to remove his own helmet rather than die of oxygen deprivation. Emma and Richard are the last two, with Emma falling into an eternal slumber from the lack of air, and Richard seemingly vanishing, his body unable to be identified. As they feared, they were some of the last people left alive. As shown in several photos, the WoW's adoption of structure gel resulted in its own corruption, rapidly growing outwards to control and manipulate any machine and robot it could. Its effects are seen everywhere throughout Pathos 2, pipes bursting with structure gel and entire rooms collapsing in on themselves, partly due to their already weakened state from the comet impact. Determined to stop the WoW on its path from preserving life in a way that it doesn't understand, Johan Ross travels from Omicron to Tau, nestled in the ocean's abyss, to continue his work on the WoW.
Jesus, did you see that? Stick to the lamplights, they won't go near them.
I can't fail, Glasser. It's important I reach Omicron. Our future depends on it.
Calm down. Let's just follow the path.
If I die, I need you to tell Julia Dahl that the WoW is out of control. She needs to get to Saurang. He'll know what to do.
Raj, you can tell them yourself. We just need to pick up the pace, okay?
Glass! We lost the path! We need to go back!
I know where to go. Come on.
It's over there! The light is over there!
Final push, Raj. Almost there. We just...
But he's found dead on the climber a few days later. Recovering his body, the staff at Omicron start noticing strange things happening around them. from headaches to blood leaking from their eyes, which they attribute to the WoW.
Uber, do we have any painkillers left? This tinnitus is becoming crippling.
Sorry, we only have heavy stuff left. Morphine-level drugs.
I'll take it. Feels like my head is about to explode.
Can do, that's stuff for emergencies. Besides, Cameron thinks the ringing will settle when JR reaches 100%.
Then tell him to hurry the fuck up.
Should be a matter of hours. Just hang in there.
The WoW is trying to reanimate Ross's corpse, and is focusing electromagnets on his body to bring him back, which negatively impacts the staff at Omicron, who, by company requirements, have brain implants that monitors their health. It also allows their brains to be data mined, allowing Simon to touch them and relive their final moments. But upon reaching Omicron, Simon and Catherine find the bodies of staff are headless, with them slumped over dead with exploded heads and blood trails left everywhere. Julia Dahl is caught mid-recording.
Things are out of hand. The staff looks like they're about to explode. Every other person walks around with nosebleeds, and the rest keep wiping stains of blood from their eyes to keep them from overflowing. That's to do with the WoW trying to free Ross somehow, for sure. At this point, I wouldn't be surprised if the body just got up and left. Rally Herber, our dispatcher, has been snooping around asking questions she shouldn't. She says she's going down into the abyss to find Alpha. I can't bring myself to stop her.
This is why Stratsky and the others couldn't get a response from anyone at Omicron. There was nobody alive at Omicron. But as his body was being repaired by the WoW, Ross somehow contacted the Omicron dispatcher, Rally Herber, whose room is full of strange messages to stop the WoW. She begins poking around to find out what it means, asking questions, and finally says she's going into the abyss to try and follow Ross's telepathic orders. But she's caught in the WoW's wake too, and her headless corpse is found by Simon and Catherine as they search for a power suit, so Simon can survive the climber journey into the abyss.
I found one of the power suits. There's a dead woman inside. At least I think it's a woman. Just like the body we found in the annex. She's missing her head.
Gross.
Catherine encourages Simon to try and find parts to piece together a new body for him, since back in Theta, they discovered Simon is a robot's head on a dead woman's corpse that's stuck in a diving suit. And since his suit won't withstand the pressure, he needs to transfer his consciousness into a new body to continue. Simon objects, but continues to plan anyway. He finds the parts which lead him to discovering uncalibrated structure gel, which piques the ghostly Johann Ross's interests greatly. Once he gathers all the materials, which involve using Raleigh Herber's dead corpse and the power suit she's sitting in, Simon readies himself by sitting in a chair for another brain scan, going through the same procedure he endured back in 2015, and this time he awakens in the new suit, only to hear his own voice from another room saying that he thinks it didn't work.
There must be something wrong. Can't you run a diagnosis or something?
What was that?
No, it's just...
Why was it still talking?
It's the same like before.
Catherine, why was he still talking?
The horror hits once again, that he's been copy-pasted and that the other Simon, who he just was, is now stuck there. Catherine gives the player an option. Simon too can't come with you, he can't withstand the pressure, but he can't stay behind since the WoW's monsters will kill him. You decide your own fate, or you decide the fate of your previous copy. Let him wander the halls of Omicron forever with no future or no goal, or kill him, kill you, drain his battery and let him die peacefully in his sleep, his optimism for a better life on the Ark robbed from him so that you can continue onwards. There are no good options, there is no right answer. The game throws many complicated moral questions at you time and time again, but deciding the fate of the person you just were is one of the most profound ones. Imagine the horror of being Simon too, left behind in a dead world. When all the other sites were evacuating, Tau was no exception, with its staff members trying to reach the climber to travel up out of the abyss to Omicron on the plateau. But due to being attacked by murderous wildlife, they were forced to turn back, with several members killed in the process. Julia Dahl writes 2 reports on the events, one official, one unofficial. In the official report, she talks about how they waited for the members of Tau to arrive at the climber, but when they didn't, she began looking for them. Lights flickering, she used her floodlight to explore the abyssal plane between the climber and Tau, until she discovered the body of a Tau staff member ripped in two and heard screams over the radio. Deciding she couldn't help them, she went back and left them to their fate. In the unofficial report, she states the entire thing was made up, so that Johann Ross could continue his work on the WoW undisturbed. This led to food supplies ceasing, communications breaking down between Omicron and Tau, and the people down there left to starve alone in the abyss. Johann Ross comments in diary entries that food ran out ages ago, and one member of staff donned a power suit and walked into the abyss to try and find food. Not because they thought they'd find any, but because they wanted to die without the responsibility of taking their own lives. Regardless, they returned empty-handed. The Carthage conspiracy is one of the lesser covered parts of the game, with Mark Sarang, Johann Ross and Julia Dahl being the only people part of it, with Sarang having a letter in his room that congratulates him on the WoW, and Johann Ross's work being a key factor in whatever it was they were trying to do. Upon reaching Tau, Simon, 3 and Catherine find nothing but mutilated corpses, artificially kept alive by the WoW, and emaciated bodies who starved to death, their horrifying fate sealed by Julia Dahl. A recording states that the original Catherine and several other people arrived with the Ark on the way to Phi to launch it. Upon arriving, they expected to find Tau deserted and were shocked that these poor people were alive and starving to death down here.
Welcome to Tau. What's left of it.
Are you guys alright? What happened here?
We ran out of real food long ago. People have been getting sick. Haven't heard from anyone in months.
No shit, they all think you're dead down here. Some failed evac story circulating at Omicron.
Oh, God.
Listen, son. We're on an important mission, and we need your help to operate the Omega space gun. When it's done, we can all head back up the plateau. But now we need to get moving.
Of course. Head on through to the habitat. We shut off the front section to preserve power.
Alright, see you soon.
Surprisingly, one person remains, guarding the unlaunched Ark in Tau's infirmary, on an intravenous drip, emaciated and stuck in a chair. Initially hostile, Sarah Linwall confronts Simon 3 and asks him what he wants with the Ark. After confirming he wants to launch it, she asks him if he would let her die. Simon understandably objects, but she begs him. Turning off her life support is yet another difficult choice the game forces you to decide on, with the last living human's life literally in your hands. As Simon 3 was descending from Omicron to Tau in the climber, he was confronted by the revived Johann Ross, who praised him and told him he would make preparations. All the way through the journey to Tau through the abyssal plane, you see images of Ross appearing in the distance, and when you get to Tau, his presence is there, talking to you, telling you to stop the WoW and end it all. And as Simon finally takes the Ark and places it on the cargo transporter to Phi, where the space gun awaits, the damage to the track pushes him off course and outside, where Johann Ross begs him to follow, leading him to a previously unknown and unmarked part of Pathos 2 called Alpha, where the brain of WoW sits. Ross tells Simon that the uncalibrated gel now infused in his body will poison the WoW, bringing its corruption and suffering to an end. If Simon chooses to do as he asks, the heart of the WoW pulls off his arm, but the WoW dies. If he chooses not to, the suffering continues, and, furious at your choice, you're attacked by Ross, who is slain by one of the WoW's creatures. Whatever your decision, the game continues, with Simon arriving at Phi, the space gun looming in the distance. Plugging in Catherine reveals the journey is nearly at an end, but in another room they find the original Catherine's body, who was struck with a wrench during a disagreement with her colleagues over the risks of launching the Ark.
Are you suggesting we keep it down here? Doesn't that defeat the whole purpose? Eternity among the stars, remember?
The people inside the Ark won't know the difference. We can just keep it down here, and we don't have to risk the Ark being shot through 5,000 meters of broken barrel, and then push through another 100,000 meters of a dust-filled atmosphere.
Will the casing stand all that pressure?
Well, the odds aren't great.
Catherine, say something.
I don't care what you think. I'm launching it.
No need to be like that. Let's just hang on to it for a while and think about it. We can launch it later.
No, that wasn't the deal. We made it to save them. To launch it. Out there, it's hope. Down here, it's a fucking terrarium waiting to die with the rest of us.
Come on, Catherine. It's not asking much. Let's just think about it before we risk the only hope humanity has to survive this hell.
No, we launch it today. This is my project, my Ark.
It's bigger than that. Don't you get it? It's not for you to decide. We're talking about the fate of mankind.
Get away from the Ark! I'm taking it.
No, you're not.
I'm not gonna let you ruin this.
Stop it!
Guys, calm down.
Get away from me! No!
What the fuck did you do?
It was an accident.
Catherine, talk to me. Catherine.
Oh God. Catherine.
Did you say something?
It's you. You had an accident.
What do you... Oh. You mean Catherine. Don't worry, it's better this way.
The other members of the launch team, Sarah Lynn Wall included, returned to Tau to debate what to do, which is why the Ark and her are waiting at Tau. Catherine is disturbed and upset by the knowledge of her own death, but the two continue the launch anyway. The final moments of the game leave Simon and Catherine tying the Ark launch to a single button, which transfers their consciousness into the Ark, but as the Ark is launched into space, Simon and Catherine remain. Angry and upset, Simon curses out Catherine, who explains to him again that just like in 2015, just like in Omicron, there will always be a copy. The man who died of brain damage, the one left behind at Omicron, and now the one who didn't make it onto the Ark. The coin toss, as she describes it. As the facility crumbles and breaks down, the power supplying Catherine cuts off, and Simon is left in the dark, at the bottom of the ocean, alone. SOMA is a bleak game. Its painting of a possible future for humanity contains a level of cruelty unheard of. From the people latched into the walls underneath Theta to the corpses outside Omicron, the robots who don't realise they're robots, and finally the copy of Simon who either lived or died depending on your choice. The game tackles so many decisions throughout with no good outcome. Some aren't even choices. You have to unplug Amy Azaro, the artist who worked at Upsilon, Carl's friend, who was shocked by a wall panel and kept alive by the WoW for almost a year of agonizing pain. There is no right choice. You have to kill her to progress. And what about Sarah? Is it better for you to live a life of hunger and suffering, or to end it and usher out the age of mankind? But the story for Simon doesn't end. There is the other copy, the one who makes it onto the Ark and experiences the life and colours of the virtual world with Catherine, as the Ark gently floats off into space with the Earth smouldering in the distance. His dark fate escaped. Thanks for watching today's video. I don't really do things like this normally, so if you'd like to see more videos like this, prepare for a bit of a wait since this took too long for me to make. And if you want to support the channel, then that would be great. I'd really like that. And there's also the Discord server too, if you'd like to talk more about Soma's story, because wow, do I always want to talk more about Soma's story. And other games too. Anyway, thank you for watching again. Obviously this part is unscripted, I'm sure you can tell. Thanks for watching, and always check out Bumps in the Middle of the Night. Peace.